welcome back to another edition of AFK Discussion. It's your boy Jason, and with me is Phil. What up, dude?
What's going on, man? How are you?
It's going good. It's going pretty good. My family's in the other room watching the Super Bowl, and I really don't care much about the Super Bowl. I like the commercials, but that's about it. So
yeah, I'm right in the same boat with you, dude. Like, honestly, I used to watch sports and like the Super Bowl every single year and all that, and nowadays I honestly forgot it was on until like I saw some sports betting things online or on TV, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, it's this weekend.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, it's funny. My daughter's never had any interest, but now like Taylor Swift's boyfriend's playing, so they're watching it.
That's probably the saddest thing I've ever heard.
It is. Guys, I always want to say, go check us out wherever you do social media: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitch. We have a Twitch. I don't know if did you know that, Phil? We had a Twitch. I
did not know you guys. We had a Twitch.
Yeah.
When's the last time you guys play video games with people? Or
yeah, we tried that and no one really joined. Occasionally, I'll jump on there and play some video games, see if anybody joined, but that is very rare. But we do have one, and also X, so you can find us pretty much anywhere. Also, if you're listening to this, make sure you give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a 5-star review. That really helps us out. And guys, I want to tell you about our new sponsor. Their website launches February 16th. It is facttac.com. They make tactical gear for big dudes, but also it's not limited to big dudes, big, small, they got you covered. So just real quick, I'm going to go over a few things that they have. They have prime armor plate carriers. They have plates. They have Blue Alpha belts, Gideon optics. They have some really, really cool t-shirts. And they also have the Fat Tac holster, which is made for big dudes. If you want an appendix carry, which that means you carry your gun in front, like underneath your belly sort of area. Well, usually big dudes can't carry their gun there because their belly gets in the way. But this sits low in your pants, so there's no issue. But guys, if you want to, go check out facttac.com because they got you covered for anything tactical you need, big, small. And the world's going crazy, so who knows? Maybe you need a plate carrier. If you don't know what a plate carrier, blah, blah, blah. I can't talk. If you don't know what a plate carrier is, just go to facttac.com. I think they have something on there that explains it. It's pretty much a vest, and it's got a metal plate. It's like a bulletproof vest, but not really a vest. It's plates. You can interchange them. You can put 2 in there, and then if they get damaged, you can take them out and replace them. So, yeah, check them out. It's really cool. But, yeah, let's get right down to it. So I'm going to start off first with some housekeeping. So Ty has been having some family issues, scheduling issues, so he is taking a hiatus from the show. I don't know when he'll return, but just keep him in your prayers, and hope the dude gets everything under control and can come join us again. But that's where we're at right now. Let's jump right into it, because the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about the EVP that happened on last episode, because that was really crazy to me. So I talked to Phil about it. He actually went on and kind of broke it down, did a little of his Philness to it, because he is probably the best person ever at finding EVPs and stuff. And dude, I said, dude, take a look, listen to this. What do you hear? So what did you hear?
So I think it's super interesting. So I listened to the clips, the whole clip that you sent me, and you can definitely hear the breathing while your mouth is shut. And so during the breathing, I also heard like a slight other noise. And so I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. So then I took that clip and I slowed it down like 4/5 speed, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then maybe even 2/3 speed as well. And you can definitely hear some sort of a voice. Now we're listening to them, and you can maybe get your thoughts on what the voice might say. But you can definitely hear some sort of a voice in the first breath, as well as the breath, and then like a voice within the breath, basically. But it's really, really short. It's super, super short. And then the second part, where you think you definitely hear a voice, and you're like, I heard a voice in my headphones. Mm-hmm. So I listened to that part too. And so you can definitely hear some sort of voice or some sort of a noise come through for sure. So I slowed that one down as well. That one, you really can't make out like as far as a word or something, but you can definitely hear that there's something there that's not supposed to be there. Because I just want to make sure we have this correct. The recording we're listening to is just from your feed only. You're not gonna. There's no Brooks at all. So all the vocals should just be coming from you and you alone. So if there's anything else in there, that's it is kind of weird. There is like one moment where there's a little bit of headphone bleed over when Brooks talks at one moment, but that's the only moment where that happens. Other than that, you can't even hear Brooks at all. So I don't think this is Brooks talking or something, or like his audio coming through or anything like that. I don't know what these are. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. But I got the clip.
I'm sorry to make me talk you, but the voice is definitely different than my voice or Brooks' voice.
Definitely different.
Yeah,
for sure. It's definitely strange. I sent Jason the clip. It's just about a minute clip. It goes through all of the clips in a couple different speeds.
So I cannot pull that up because it's on my phone. Can you send it in the chat right here, and I can pull it up? Okay.
Oh, the chat on here on the
chat on here. Yeah. So guys, new we're using Riverside. Just they're not sponsoring us or anything, but dude, I'm loving it. Riverside is awesome. I recommend checking it out. And also we can pull up and share our screens and stuff. So that's pretty cool, which we're going to be doing momentarily. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, right. Exactly. As I just scrambled to get this all sent.
Yeah.
Because I posted it on YouTube. So so all I did was, there we go. All right, let me send it. I sent it to myself, the link. So I have it here. All right. There we go. Do you want me to send you the link?
Can you share your screen? Can you just do that way, or do you want me
to... I think so. Let me just pause this real quick. Go to this, share screen.
Learning experience, guys. So
yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Entire screen, sure. Yes, because we need the audio, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let's do this. All right.
Whoa.
Here we go. Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right, here we go. So there's I got 3 clips here. This is the first breath, really, really quick, and then comes the second, and then the voice. The second and the third have the voice.
And right there, pause it for a second. I'm inhaling when that's exhaling. When the breath,
absolutely.
I just know it's my body. You can see myself physically. And
exhaling.
Like I was inhaling, not, All
right, here's 4th, 5th speed. Same clip. See what I mean? Where there's like kind of a voice there now?
Yeah.
2/3. Okay. So that was the first like breath part. Like I said, I can't quite make out. There's definitely a voice there. You want to listen to it again? I can go back again. All right, let me just go back to the 4th, 5th. The 4th, 5th I think is when you can really start to hear it. So it's like Michael, or it's weird. I don't know what it's trying to say.
Yeah, I can't make it out, but it's something there.
There's definitely something there it's definitely not you. And okay, so here's the second one, the one where you actually think there's a voice. So this is regular speed first, and then I slow it down. One half.
I just heard a voice. Yeah.
So there we go. We stop sharing here. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly what it sounded. So
it's definitely deeper, And mine, Brooke's voice, it does not sound like that at all. You know, definitely a deep voice.
Yeah, oh, super deep, and like I said, it's really hard to make out what the voice is trying to say or what it's saying at all. But it's definitely some sort of a voice there, and it's definitely not just a breath. Where in the moment, even in the first one, when I first listened to it in regular speed, I'm like, oh, okay, yep, that's a breath. It wasn't until I slowed it down where I was like, you know what? There's actually like some sort of a voice or something in there. But yeah, kind of weird, very very weird, and yeah, I don't know if it's because of the subject matter or I don't know what it was, but what do you make of it?
I really don't know. I'm puzzled by it. I mean, we were talking Elkmont, and we weren't to Elkmont yet, but we had mentioned it, I think. But
Right.
I mean, some weird things happened in my house, so I'm not sure exactly what to make of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have the history at the house, so that's like definitely something you have to um take account for, especially if you're having stuff like repeatedly happen like that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if like things happen in the future, or if we do another episode with Brooks and something happens again. Then it's like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because that would be the two occasions where it was like with Brooks again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder, what's going on there, or like what's going on with any of that stuff. I mean, to be honest with you, like I'm editing a video right now where it's actually kind of a creepy story. So my friend Christine, she had this like crazy experience when she was a teenager, right? In her backyard. So this is like in her backyard. It's like backyard, like any other person's backyard. Then there's like a little bit of wooded area, like a hill and like just woods or whatever. So long story short, she's up there and she's, drawing in a notebook or writing in a notebook or whatever with her head down. She thinks she hears like something rustling around in the trees or like moving around or whatever. She doesn't look up. She's like, whatever. And keeps on doing. And all of a sudden she hears her hair goes like straight out like this, like as if someone is like pulling her hair straight out. And she hears "get out" in her ear, like someone whispered "get out" in her ear. And she basically throws her notebook down, gets up, runs away, and never goes back in that woods, and has never been back again. So I checked out this place. There's a little bit of a spoiler alert because this video doesn't come out till Thursday, and this comes out on Tuesday, so you're getting a little bit of preview. So I've never, obviously I've never been there, right? I've never even said my name there. I got my name in an EVP within a matter of like 2 minutes of this being in this woods. And then a couple minutes after that, on the iPad, I get my name again, like Phil. The first time it was Philip, the second time it was Phil. And that's just 2 of like 10 EVPs at this location. And, so like, what is that about?
I have no idea. I wish I knew. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's still. Now, is it close to the same area where you usually investigate? I mean, is it?
Yeah, it's in the Bridgewater Triangle. Yeah. I mean, I've been to this house before, like not in the woods, but like I've been to this house before. Christina had one of her birthday parties there one time, so like I've been to this house before. I just find that kind of stuff like kind of strange, and that makes me feel like there's more, like when I get that kind of stuff where it's like my name and I'd never been to the place before, or I've gotten this a lot where it says it's him,
Yeah.
and it's a place I've never been before. That makes me more apt to believe that what I'm getting on EVPs is probably more on the darker side than just some random ghost. Because I'm sorry, there's no way that like the like ghosts are just being like, oh, there's this guy Phil that's going around investigating, and they're talking about, that just seems very unlikely to me. And so like the only other thing that I could think of that would know my name without me being there ever, and without me saying my name, would be some sort of a spiritual entity or something that would know my name because I'm on a wanted poster somewhere.
Watch out for this guy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because they know I do this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They know what I do, which is a whole other weird aspect to the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because obviously clear, I don't know. At least that's what I've been thinking about recently. When I get my name a lot, you know, it reminds me of Elkmont, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes me wonder, because like that's kind of been like what I've been wrestling with for the past like few months. Because after I think I've talked about this a little bit. I don't know about on air or not, but after Tony's show, I mean, it wasn't a lot of people. We're talking like 100 out of 20,000 people that watched it, that enjoyed it. There's about 100 people or so that were really negative about my appearance on the show.
Oh,
And
really?
it was, oh yeah, absolutely. And it really seemed to boil down to honestly just the spirit box more than anything else.
Mhm.
It seems like some people really have a problem with spirit box, or people say things like, you're a necromancer, or you're praying for demons, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so like every single, so obviously I read all these comments because I tried to like respond to everyone's comments or like them, or just to like, even if they didn't like it, I'm like, hey, thank you for at least watching it and caring enough to like comment on it. I appreciate it. And so like that's fine if those people like feel that way, but I was like, you know what, well, like, maybe like I should take this criticism as like somewhat valid and at least look into it deeper for myself.
Mhm.
And so like that's basically what I've been trying to do in as much free time as I have, and stuff like that. And like I've done some pretty extensive deep diving on some scriptures, and kind of like trying to look up some Greek words and Hebrew words for different things, and just trying to get like a idea of what is really going on. Like, is it true what these people are saying? Oh, everything's a demon, which I mean, honestly, I do not believe everything's a demon, but that's what these people are claiming. And so, like, just for example, like they say the spirit box is like necromancy, or it's like the same as an Ouija board and that kind of thing, which I personally don't see. I mean, like I said, if you're going to do an EVP session, like, it's the same as a spirit box thing. So I say all that just to kind of say that like that's kind of been like the things I've been kind of like praying about, seeking God's face about. So every year my church, we do like a 21-day fast. And so this year, well, we did it last year, me and Nicole, but we did a Daniel fast, which is no meat, no cheese. It's a pretty like strict diet. And so through that whole process, I was really like trying to like decide, or like trying to figure out like what God, like if there was like some sort of, goodness that could come out of all this. And during the middle of all that, I got like a definitely like a spiritual attack for sure. And it was like, I got this voice, and I've gotten this voice, like a negative voice before, and it's always the devil, because it's always, the Lord doesn't come to you and say like awful things to you, or you know what I'm saying? Like he just doesn't do that, so I've, our family and my personal life, and it's been a rough like half a year. My brother's been, struggling with addiction and stuff. And so it's been very difficult for not only for him, but for us as a family going through this and trying to help him. And it's obviously like a struggle. So like I got that going on, plus like the, this other stuff that's been kind of, so it's just like a whole bunch of things kind of weighing down. And I try to like, I say all this just because for me personally, it's good to like be honest as possible, because I don't really have outlets where I can be honest. And podcasting is a place where you can be honest and be like, hey, this is, what's been going on. And so during this 21-day fast, I got all this other stuff going on, and a viewer reaches out to me, and this is like what makes all of Exploring with Phil worth it. Even if I don't make any money off this, even if I don't do anything else, I'm not going to say his name because I didn't ask him to say his name, but he's been reaching out to me for a little while about Jesus, and he's had addictions of his own, alcohol addictions and stuff like that. And I'll leave him be anonymous, but he's reached out, and I've like talked to him about God and like getting help and all that stuff, and he basically gave his heart to the Lord and is turning his life around. You know what I mean? And like, and he thanked me for like helping him. You know what I mean? And like that meant more to me than 1,000 people watching my videos, or like 1,000 likes, or all that stuff. And it just like in the midst of all that, like that's, during the 21-day fast is when he like messaged me about, about that. And it was just like, I was like, you know what? Cause I got like a negative thing, and was like, oh, you know what? You should just quit.
Yeah.
You should just quit. No one's liking what you're doing. The Christian people don't like what, they're not going to accept you. You know what I mean? These worldly people aren't going to come to Christ because of you. That kind of like negative thinking and stuff. When it's like, well, like one person was affected by my videos enough to reach out to me, and then I talked to him and tried to help him, and the Lord helped him by using me to help him.
Yeah,
because I didn't do that. Like, I'm not like someone special. I just someone reached out to me on my DMs, and I tried to help them, the best I could, and the Lord did the rest. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's kind of like what I've been struggling with, but I did have like some research as far as like ghost stuff that I thought was interesting, or like spirit stuff, if you want to talk about that kind of stuff.
That'd be great.
But before we do that, do you have any, I don't know if you have any comments or whatever. I just kind of monologuing.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, dude, I mean, if one person gets saved, I mean, that is one soul that, will be transformed forever, and that's incredible. When I used to play music, we toured, and, we would go to these places that were, not Christian establishment. We were a Christian heavy metal band, right? And so we were playing a show for instance, something that happened to me that made everything worth it that I did. So I was touring, and this is also kind of a spiritual attack thing too. I had a new car, and I came out, and some kids were leaning on my car. I got really angry, really, really, really angry. I used to have a really short temper. I guess I still do, but it's not as bad. And I went over, this like, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Just letting them have it. I didn't cuss them out or anything. That would be really bad. But I was like, my car, this is my car. I don't want to ever see you sitting on my car again, something like that. And I turned around. I was walking back into the club, and something just like God would just like, grab me by the shirt. Is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That, that wasn't cool. And I'm putting it in my own words. It's like, go back and talk to them. And I was like, that's the last thing I wanted to do. So I turned around, went back over there and apologized for losing my temper. I said, I'm sorry. I should be more gracious to people, show grace and mercy instead of, yelling and reaming somebody out. And the guy looked at me and said, you're the first Christian that has ever apologized to me. Because I'm used to getting looks and, people calling me a devil worshiper and stuff and all this stuff. I said, I want to say thank you for, coming over and apologizing. That was the most, I guess, I don't know exact words, what he said. It was, something to the effect of, that's awesome that you apologize, and then, I went back into the show. I was talking to some people, and this is where it gets crazy. They were like, see those kids over there? And I was like, yeah, this is the same ones that were sitting in my car. And this was after we had played, right? Whenever that whole thing went down. They were like, those kids, they, when you guys were playing, they were sitting in the back of the room, and they were ripping up a Bible and like ripping the pages up and throwing it in the trash when you guys were playing. And I was like, huh. And, I showed, I wasn't the hateful Christian that always like, oh, you guys are, you're devil worshipers or whatever, I actually went and apologized and showed them that, it's, we're not hate, we're, Jesus is love. And, we're just like everyone else. Sometimes we lose our temper, but I wish I could remember the exact conversation. I mean, it was much better, much more, I a deep conversation than sorry, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
It was much better than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that's I don't know where the guy is. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's listening to this right now. That'd be awesome if he did. But yeah, I mean, just that little interaction could have, changed his life for the best. I don't know.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, little things like that. Just, I mean, if you can impact one person, it's awesome,
Yeah.
Oh no, that
Yeah.
just went off on a tangent, but
No, that's it. No, that's exactly what I was saying. Like, that's exactly what I was saying, with like by doing all this, you know what I mean? So, that I looked at that as like a really like positive thing, you know what I mean? Like, as, at least something that I'm doing is, the right direction. And another thing, I'd always thought about, like, cause I did, I'm probably the only person that's probably, did like prayers in like a paranormal investigation before. And so I've heard Catholic people say you should like pray for the dead and stuff like that, and like Protestants like don't really talk about that. So I never really like thought much of it. And so while I was doing like research for other things, something came up. So 1 Peter 4:6, I'm gonna read it for you.
Okay.
Just because I think it's super interesting, and I'm like, how have I not like seen this before? So maybe I should back up a little bit. It's 1 Peter 4. 4:6. So I'll start in 4, I guess. Let's see, maybe 5. Who shall give an account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to the men in the flesh, but live according to God in the spirit. So like, I read that. I'm like, I had to read it like a bunch of times. Like, wait a minute. For the cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead. Gospel preached to those that are dead. And I was like, and so then I was like, wait, does that mean like, at first I thought, I was like, okay, maybe they mean like spiritually dead, like spiritually dead people that you preach. No, they mean like dead, like actual dead. And so I'm like, that's kind of weird. I don't remember that Bible verse at all. And this is the King James version, by the way.
Okay.
I just thought it was interesting.
That's very interesting. I don't remember that.
Me neither. And it's like pretty much in the beginning here, and it's just like before this, it's talking about Jesus Christ has suffered us for us in the flesh. Arm yourselves likewise with the same mind, for he has suffered in the flesh, and cease sin, that he no longer lives the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but the will of God. And then it's just talking about like the not walking in lavishness, lust, excesses of wine, banquetness, idolatry, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes into for this cause. Then it goes right into that. Who, and then the verse before, verse 5, who shall give an account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they may be judged according to the men in the flesh. They're going to live according to God's spirit. So it's like, I was like, what does Peter mean by that? Does Peter actually mean what he's actually saying there is like what the gospel is also for the dead as well?
Did you look that up? Did you look up the
original words?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original word for death there is just the regular one for death, meaning death, permanent death. Like, there's no, it's not like one of those ones that has like a multiple meaning. Yeah, I did look it up specifically because I was like, well, maybe they mean spiritual dead or something like that. But no, it's just the regular dead, like dead meaning like people, death. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought was interesting while looking up like spirits and ghosts, I found another verse that I thought was interesting. Given, go ahead.
I was just thinking. So whenever Peter was writing that, was that pre crucifixion, or was it?
That should be post crucifixion.
Okay.
Yeah, post crucifixion.
If it was pre, there is that where the saints were in Abraham's bosom before Jesus died, went and got the keys to hell and the grave, and him to go to heaven. So I didn't know if that was maybe something like that, but no, if it's post, then yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Another verse I think is super interesting. I have a not quite done on all my research, but like I said, I'm kind of like building it and kind of going through some stuff. there's a reference to a ghost or ghost voices in Isaiah 29:4.
Really?
And yeah, and and this is what the verse says here. And thy voice shall be a ghost from the ground, and from thy dust thy speech shall chomp. I can't remember the word. I got it like cut off here. I didn't write it down. Let me look it up proper for you.
Okay.
So Isaiah, because I just quickly wrote it down before we started. Isaiah, let me get the actual verse. 29. Oops. 29. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because we were talking like as far as EVPs, because I put the spirit box on the ground and gotten better responses from the ground.
Yeah.
And thou shalt be brought down and shalt speak out from the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of thy dust, and thy voice shall be as one of that of a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust.
What verse is that? It's Isaiah.
That's Isaiah 29:4.
29:4.
Yep.
Oh.
And
We'll look
so
at a different translation, just so
yeah, that's King James. I like to go back to King James because King James, instead of saying spirit for things, it'll say familiar spirit, which there is a difference between a human spirit or the human spirit or Holy Spirit and a familiar spirit. A familiar spirit is something totally different, which is why I like doing the King James, because they actually have that distinction.
So yeah, so this the ESV, which is another translation, not like English Standard Version. So it also says something very similar. It says, "And you will be brought low from the earth and shall speak, and from the dust your speech will be bowed down. Your voice shall come from the ground like the voice of a ghost, and from the dust your speech shall whisper."
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, interesting, right?
It's very interesting.
Yeah, just because it was you don't get a lot of references to that, and there's also a reference to like a chirping thing, which is also something that a mutterer would do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a mutterer is kind of like an ancient like necromancer of the dead, but they would use, surprisingly, they'd use a bottle of some sort of potion, spirit, probably some sort of drink or something, and they drink this drink, and then they would make contact with the dead, dead spirits or whatever it says. And then they would mutter or like try to get wisdom or knowledge of like what to do from like dead spirits.
Now is that gosh, what's it called? Like would that be considered necromancy in the Bible? Because I mean they talk about
necromancy is sort of similar. As far as I understand, necromancy is very similar. It's using the dead, but to gain knowledge of future events. Like that's the standard definition of what a necromancer is. There's also like I can't remember what Bible verse it is. I was like writing a whole bunch down. I'll have to find it. It might be Deuteronomy, but there is a reference to like a bunch of different things, like what things that you shouldn't do, and like mediums on there, necromancy's on there, like the mutterer things on there. There's like something. There's
on there too. I think which.
What was it? Yeah, obviously witchcraft. Yeah, witchcraft is on there.
Is alchemy on there?
Alchemy might not be on there. Like the word alchemy might not be on there, but some sort of simile. And then of course there's the familiar spirits word too, which I don't take that as talking to ghosts. That seems to be more of what some people think what mediums do. Now this is where it gets kind of weird. It's because, like, as far as I understand, as far as what mediums will tell you, is they're like, oh, I'm contacting the dead. And then, like, they're telling me, you know, whatever. But then there's other mediums that'll say things like, oh, I have, like, a spirit guide who tells me about blah, blah, blah. So, as far as what I understand, these familiar spirits are what I would consider, at the very least, spirit guides or whatever, what these other people are calling spirit guides. Now, either they're demons, but I'm kind of leaning away from them being demons, like in the way that we think of demons. I think they are spirits, meaning like disembodied. I don't know of what. Now, I don't know if like some people might think they're Nephilim or like I don't know what they are, but they're obviously disembodied spirits of people or whatever. Maybe not people, but something evil, we'll just say, because I'm not quite sure what they are. But familiar spirits definitely are the same ones that will also try to make you sin by giving you quick thoughts, or like a glancing thought in your mind that'll try to make you go down a pathway of sin.
Yeah.
So like they're very similar in that sort of way as well, which is why I think in the Bible it says not to.
That was my kid.
That's definitely not a ghost, guys. And so, so like that's what a familiar, like, so that the familiar spirit thing, I think that's where that comes in. And I was gonna say something about it that Scream, really lost my train of thought on it. But I have some other stuff here while we vamp.
I was looking up more familiar spirit stuff, and I know there's Leviticus 19:31. This is in the KJV also. It says,
Yep.
regard not them that have familiar spirits, neither speak after wizards to be defended by them. I am the Lord your God.
Yeah, so there's mention in the Bible repeatedly that some of these people are like actually possessed by familiar spirits or something. Now I don't know if that would be the same as a demon. I feel like they would specify, because I feel like in the New Testament it says demon instead of, but that might be because of it's a Greek versus Hebrew thing. Because in the Hebrew they have a couple different words. They have a different word for demon, ghost, negative spirit thing or whatever. It's like a different. I couldn't find the word. I was trying to like look it up to try to figure out what it was. But the whole familiar spirit thing is very strange. Another story I always look back to, and it might be Samuel, 2 Samuel. I don't think I have it written down here, but it's the story where they try to contact. What is it, Samuel or Solomon? Maybe I think it is Solomon. I always get this wrong, but whoever they bring in a medium. One of the kings brings in a medium, and they actually contact Solomon, and the medium like freaks out. So traditionally, if you were in Sunday school or a regular church, they would probably say something like, "Oh, she conjured a demon," or you hear things like, like she wasn't expecting to see Solomon because she's a trickster, blah blah blah, like that kind of a thing. So the way I look at that whole story is like I look at the way like mediums are now, right? So if a medium nowadays, if this happened now, if a medium contacted the normal way they did things and they got their normal answers like they normally do, they wouldn't freak out.
Yeah.
But if they did what they normally do and all of a sudden Solomon actually, like the person actually physically shows up, they would definitely freak out.
Yeah.
I mean, so like that's what I think is happening there. I don't think a demon's like, getting conjured or whatever, because I think it's actually is Solomon, because of the Lord's power or whatever is bringing him there. And so, because Solomon literally says, "Why have you awoken me? Because I was sleeping or resting," or whatever he was saying, something to that effect. He basically says, and so the medium gets like freaked out and all that stuff. So I think that's probably the most realistic thing that happens there. But the familiar spirit thing is very interesting, which ties it into what I was talking about before, where I'm getting my name in some sort of spot where I've never said my name before. And I'm getting responses as if they like seem to know who I am or know me more on a personal level or say things, that's where I get into the thing where I'm like, okay, maybe there is more darker spirits around than we initially thought. Maybe there is a difference between these familiar spirits and demons. I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
But,
So that
it's interesting.
Familiar spirits, that I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put this into words. So familiar spirits would be, I think, a spirit that you're familiar with, like you contact.
Yes, right.
But not like a spirit that's familiar with you.
Yeah.
Right. There's someone that knows you and in your name, Right. But I think that familiar, I'm just, for everyone out there,
they're using like their same spirit over and over again to like communicate with, like a spirit guide, essentially.
But not a spirit that is familiar with you, like on the other side, that's coming trying to mess with you. It's not that. So
that's totally It's just a term they use for that sort of practice, because I guess it was more common. It's kind of is common nowadays, but not as nearly as common, I guess, as is in the ancient times here.
Yeah.
There was whole religions dedicated to this sort of thing. And the spiritualist movement did kind of take off in the mid 1800s and early 1900s. In America, this kind of very similar thing, contacting the dead and trying to get like answers from the other side and that sort of thing, which is obviously not what I'm trying to do at all. But to tie this in with like the praying thing, that's why I think it's very interesting when I ask if they need prayer and I get answers like, please pray for me, or yes, or like when you get that sort of thing, I'm sorry, that's definitely not a familiar spirit. Like that's not a demon. Like no demon is going to ask me to pray. That's like the last thing they're going to want, And then I know some people are like, oh, that's just what they want. They want to deceive you. So you pray for them. Like somehow God's going to bless that prayer. I mean, come on. If that was the case. So like, I don't know. When I get things like that, or like I'm recently in Connecticut at a cemetery, I asked if they wanted to pray for it. They said yes. And then, I get the word bank response, world, like pray for the world, so it's just like, I get that kind of stuff a lot, and I have gotten like negative responses to that too, where it's like, no, don't pray for me, or like, no, we don't want you, that kind of negative stuff too. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting. I still got a lot more research to do on it for sure. But the familiar spirits thing I did want to mention, because like I said, in if you look at NIV translations and you look at that verse, it'll just say spirits. And then people are like, okay, well, you can't ghost hunt. Right there it says spirits, it says ghosts. It's like, well, that's not necessarily what it's saying there. And and then you get into the whole like Sheol debate, and like what happens when Jesus dies on the cross. He has it says the whole thing about like him going down to hell, getting the keys to hell and all that stuff. What does that mean for people that die now? Like, where are they going? I know in the Bible it says if you are, a child of God or whatever, when you die, absent with here is like you're with him or whatever. But that doesn't necessarily mean, like, I think people automatically assume like, oh, that means heaven. Well, it's like, well, the Lord is here right now. Angels are here right now, like amongst us. You know what I mean? We haven't been able to see them. They're on like a spiritual plane. What if that's, what if that's what that means? I don't know. No one really knows.
Really know. I mean, no one knows what heaven is or where it is.
Yeah, I mean, true. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could be
like another dimension, just
that's right
outside of ours.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, no one really knows. Well, even at the end, I mean, it's kind of strange when you kind of think about this. I mean, I think Joel brought this up, so props to Joel for bringing this up on one of his stand-in shows for Tony that he did. But he was talking about like most believers don't even know that after Jesus comes back, the Battle of Armageddon, we live on Earth for like a couple thousand years when Satan is loose again. By the way, he gets out again and he's allowed to like roam around and try to like deceive people again. And then after that, the Lord creates a new heaven and a new earth, and we live on the new earth. A lot of people just assume that like, oh, eternity with God in heaven, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, there's going to be a whole new earth that we live on. And like, it's just very strange to me. Don't get me wrong, Revelation is a wild book, and it's very. I'm not saying I understand Revelation. I do not. Anyone that does, don't listen to what they say, because they don't. That's what my New Testament teacher told me in Bible school, and I've kept that advice throughout my whole life. So, but yeah, it's super.
Revelation is very interesting, because it's the only book in the Bible that says if you read and research it, then you'll have a blessing, which is it's weird.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the most wild books. I remember reading it as a kid and being like, this is wild. Like, I don't know what I'm reading, but this is wild.
It is.
There's a couple parts, especially when it's describing animals and that's that kind of thing, and you're like, what? Especially the first time reading through, you're like, what is going on here?
Like when
what are they talking about?
The locust with the head of humans.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the eagle with the all like describing the beasts and all these different all these different like nations and stuff. You're like, what?
What I've always thought of the locust with the face of a man?
Yeah,
I've always thought it's describing helicopters.
Oh, sure.
If like a say Apache helicopters, where they fly in a group. They're coming in. It looks like a almost like a locust. And if you zoom in, you see the guy in the cockpit with the human
Yep.
face. That
Yeah.
I was like, they're talking about helicopters. I always believe that.
Well, for sure, especially when you consider the person who wrote it was an ancient person. So if they're
Yeah,
seeing images of the future, I mean, they're only going to describe it in ways that they know. So they're going to describe animals. They're going to describe, things that they know. So like that's kind of why I think it's like that in a lot of ways, because it's just like they're trying to describe things they have no idea what they're trying to describe. Well, John's trying to describe, I should say. So like it makes it very difficult for sure.
yeah,
I'm sure it made it very difficult for him. He's just like, all right, well, it kind of looked like this.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, dude, it's definitely interesting for sure. But yeah, like I said, I got a lot more research to do on all this, but um, just wanted to share some of that and kind of like what I've been thinking about and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, that's really interesting. Another thing, it seems like we always bring it back to Elkmont. But I
all
was
roads lead
thinking,
to Elkmont.
yeah, all roads lead to Elkmont. But I was just thinking, when you're talking about the spiritualist movement and stuff, I'm sure a lot of that was going on in Elkmont because
Oh
that was
yeah,
like a pastime. They would just hang out and try to contact the dead. That was something they did as for fun back then.
yeah, absolutely. It was like parlor tricks and parlor games, and like during
Yeah.
that time period, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was like not a big deal. Like, all right, good, cool. And yeah, and the whole spiritualist church started from that movement. Became
Mhm.
like a whole religion for them, where they made it a part of their like daily services. Where I grew up was the heart of the spiritualist movement in America. It
Really?
was where that Onset, Massachusetts is where the headquarters is. And let
Hmm.
me tell you, Onset, Massachusetts is deeply haunted.
Oh, I'm sure.
Deeply haunted, dude. Yeah. I did I've only done like 2 videos there. I did a 20-minute video, 25-minute video there. And that's where I had like a Pukwudgie encounter by like a wigwam and stuff like that, which is like a place where spiritualist people would meet and they would do seances and they would teach them how to do stuff, mediumship classes and all that kind of stuff. So like, I can only imagine what kind of energies are running through there.
Man, those old photos, I don't know if you've seen those with the
Ectoplasm.
oh my gosh. A lot of people say
Dude,
they're faked. But I mean, I'm, being a photographer that would be so hard to fake like this whatever smoke or ectoplasm coming out of someone's mouth and just like they're levitating and I'm like that looks real to me, dude. They didn't have AI back then.
no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I did the story when the disciples see Jesus walking on the water and they say he's a ghost.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I looked up the word ghost. So in Greek, that word is phantasm,
Yep.
which literally means to appear or a rendered spirit or an apparition, phantom or phasm.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, I mean, which I kind of knew I figured that's what the word was going to be, but I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure but I was like, yep.
And I always
And
bring
that's
it back
exactly
to
what it
that
is.
too. Whenever people are like, "Oh, ghosts aren't real," and all that. I'm like, "Well, do you believe in the Bible?" I was like, "Remember the story when Jesus walked across the water and all the disciples are like, it's a ghost."
Mm-hmm.
Jesus never says, "There's no such thing as a ghost. Don't believe in ghosts." He never addresses it. He's just like, "Yeah, I mean, I understand why you guys are afraid. You thought
Yeah.
it was a ghost,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, super interesting. So yeah.
yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's so many mysteries. I mean, no one has even like the greatest biblical scholar, can speculate, but they don't have the answers for it, I don't think.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, like I said, there's so many unanswered questions for sure. Not even with just like biblical unknowns. I mean just like world unknowns.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
But we're here for it every step of the way, that's for sure. But
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's so intriguing to just ponder,
yeah.
what is this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I love doing the deep dives too, especially like the biblical deep dives. Like I was trying to look up every single scripture I could against ghosts or talking to ghosts or whatever. I mean, there's not like a ton. Like I said, there's just like a few, but are more so geared towards the familiar spirits and that kind of stuff. But like I said, I'm still doing a deep dive. I was actually thinking about reaching out to my uncle, who's a former pastor, who's really good with like ghost stuff and spirit stuff. So I might like get together with him and if maybe even have him on the show
Mm-hmm.
and like do like a whole like deep dive discussion because he actually also has a Pukwudgie story as well. Like the Pukwudgie story I told on Tony's show, my first appearance, like way
Mm-hmm.
back when, on 2017 or whatever. That's my uncle's experience. So he actually
Oh,
saw a
really?
Pukwudgie firsthand. So
Dang.
he's the one that actually seen the Pukwudgie, the whole encounter, lived in that house. So we could probably talk to him about that too, which is a wild, wild story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're going to be rescheduling with Matt. Matt from Maddox Wars is going to be on, but he had to reschedule last minute, so we'll have him on soon enough to talk about our Connecticut adventures together for sure.
Yeah, cool. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Also,
hell yeah.
coming up, we have my friend Derek is going to come on. He was also on Tony's show, I think maybe a year ago. But he's from New York. He was a pastor in New York. And his
I
father
love
was
it.
a pastor, and he just recently relocated down here with us. So yeah, he's going to be coming on, and you're going to talk about stuff. So yeah,
Cool. I love it. No, that's awesome. Definitely a lot to look forward to in the future.
yep.
I know we're going to be having a lot more people on for sure. Oh, we have someone else as well. I've scheduled some. I haven't. I've totally forgot to message you about that. But yeah, we're going to be having Nathan on, or Nathaniel, I should say. I'm not sure if he goes by Nathan or Nathaniel, but his full name is Nathaniel on Facebook. He's been paranormal investigating well over 10 years. He does a lot of like, my like real or faked videos. He does his own style of videos. He's been doing those for a while on TikTok. So he has like a lot of like paranormal history and a lot of years in the paranormal, and so a wealth of knowledge for sure, and a cool guy. So I'm excited to be talking to him. So I'll get you that date because I already told him a date, but there wasn't anything on the calendar, so
Yeah,
I think he'll be okay.
and also we're going to have Afterlife All Stars coming on.
Yes, that's right.
Gina from
Dude.
Schwantz, that's her paranormal team. So
Jam packed, full
yeah,
of like, look at these guests we're bringing.
Everyone, we got a bunch of stuff coming on. So
yeah,
let's see what Joel is going to be coming on.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah, Joel Thomas will be on here. We also have Tommy is going to be coming on. Yep.
Let's Get Freaky podcast.
Freaky, yeah, he's going to be on here. We just got to get all this stuff scheduled out. I think Joel will be on at the end of March, and also in March. I haven't told you this, but Tales from the Grid Square is going to be on here too in March. Cool. I'm trying to nail that down right now. So
cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. And also Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are.
Window, I go, if you don't move this fucking car, I'm going to knock you out.
So we'll have Kevin on as well. So you have that to look forward to. We'll dive into that story. I know you guys are like, what is happening? Well, you got to check out that interview with Kevin because that was absolutely awesome. But yeah, we'll have Kevin on as well. And I'll be hanging out with Kevin in like 2 weeks doing a video with him as well. So be on the lookout for that. And obviously I have a video this week. I was kind of already talking about it earlier. But I'm literally going to be checking out the backyard of someone that lives in the Bridgewater Triangle that had a crazy experience. And let me tell you, this place is absolutely haunted. Definitely a must watch for sure. So yeah, be on the lookout for that this Thursday, 7 p.m. Yeah, another great episode of AFK Discussions.
Awesome, dude. Real quick before we get out of here, make sure to check us out wherever you do social media, wherever you listen to this podcast. Like I said earlier, 5-star review, like, subscribe, everything, all the things, do all the things. But guys, interact with us, send us emails, maybe have a story you want us to feature. You don't have to come on this show. If you want to send us your story, you want us to read it on the air, we'd love to do that. Just get a hold of us, Gosh, I feel like I'm ripping off Tony because he always says,
oh, really?
Oh, just get a hold of us,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm not trying to rip off Tony. Even though I am representing right now Merkle Media. So if you guys haven't checked out the Confessionals podcast, please go check it out because it's incredible. You guys would love it because this is just like, this is us. This is the Confessionals. So, his show is great. So, yeah, but thanks for joining us again. Phil, do you have anything else you want to say?
It never wants to work. I don't understand why it's not playing.
So wait, Phil, do you have anything else you want to say? Try it again.
My face in this window. I go, if you don't move this fucking car, I'm gonna knock you out. And I put my face in his window.
I love Kevin. That expert comes from just so you guys know where that comes from. That's from Induced Fear. Oscar Induced Fear had Kevin on, talked about a bunch of different myriad of things, and Kevin was talking about a couple times where he lost his cool, and that just Kevin's awesome. So please support Kevin. He's the best, absolute best. It was an awesome episode, so go check that out as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.
Ripping through the ages.